and welcome to today's FAB Hangout, Mastering Annotations in Fabrication. This Hangout is brought to you by Applied Software's Construction Technology Group, the premier construction and fabrication systems integrator in North America. I'm Doug Wheatbrock, and I'm delighted to be your moderator today. Throughout our presentation, we encourage you to interact with us by typing in questions and comments using the question pane. We will be answering questions at the end of the presentation. This webinar is being recorded and will be available to you online on our YouTube channel. We will also send you an email following the webinar with a link to the recording. If you haven't already done so, search for Applied Software on Facebook and like our page to receive the latest information and special offers. When you visit our website, asti.com, there is a complete schedule of upcoming events, webinars, training, and more. I just want you to know that Applied Software has the largest team of people dedicated to MEP fabrication in North America. From strategy to sales to support, we have you covered. Our fabrication blog is back. Well, it really didn't disappear. It just wasn't all that easy to find, but now it is. You can easily filter for the articles that interest you. We have over 60 technical entries related to FAB, and we'll be adding more on a regular basis. I'm also excited to tell you about our new advanced topic series of video tutorials for MEP fabrication. These are detailed step-by-step tutorials for fabrication CAD MEP, STMEP, and or CAMDuct, covering a wide variety of features and functions. The first in the series is Working with Points. It explains how to export and import points for use with robotic total stations. Look for this video on our website and YouTube channel in the next few days. More advanced topic videos will follow in the coming weeks and months. Please take note of our upcoming events. We have a BIM and Beer in Chicago on Thursday, April 14th. And like all BIM and Beers, it's at a local microbrewery, this time Revolution Brewing. We also will be at the Spring BIM Forum in Minneapolis on April 20th and 21st. We look forward to seeing you there. And I'm pretty sure you will want to attend our next FAB Hangout in April, which will show you the new features in the 2017 product. So that will be Thursday, April 28th at this time. Following the Q&A at the end of this webinar, we will give away a $25 Visa gift certificate. You must be present to win. Well, not present here, but present. You know what I mean. So today's presenter is David Ronson. Many of you know David, and I hope the rest of you will have an opportunity to do so. In the past, David worked as a FAB support tech and as a database administrator. We're especially pleased that David could join the other amigos here helping our customers. So David, I am now turning it over to you.
All right, thanks Doug. I appreciate the introduction. Can everybody hear me okay? It's kind of hard to do this without any feedback. So what is one of the most boring things to do in BIM? And that is putting text on the model. Drawing the model is great, it's fun, fancy, flashy, but text is boring. And it takes a long time. So the objective is, how can we make these steps less cumbersome, quicker, get that information on there, and move on to the next project, move on to the next floor, whatever the next job is. So one of the ways, as far as pipe goes, that you can increase your annotation steps is through level blocks. Level blocks are it's a feature that let me pull up the help in here. Scott has a, if you use our palette, Scott has a help button here. That'll pull up the help for CAD MEP. So level block uses just standard blocks, and these are attributes that we can put in the block. All right. And this one is going to call from the bottom of the elevation datum. We can use any of these. We can call from absolute 0, and we can also call the size. We assign the level block to the service by going into the service database and assigning the level block. In this instance, we've already pre-assigned this block here, level block BOP. So that'd be bottom of pipe. So let's go take a look at what that looks like. Where's that at? Did I miss it? Here we go. Okay. So this this is just a line. That's a circle, and let's see what this is just an attribute. Real basic FBTM. That is going to call up the bottom of the elevation datum. All right. So what we can do is come back in and apply our level block. And there you go. Real easy. You get the BOP in there as well. So what if we want to add the diameter? All right. So in the help menu, the diameter is DIA. So let's edit that block. Keep scrolling past it. There we go. And what we want to do is just add an attribute. And we're going to put in size here and DIA. Let's make the text height 1. Always want to have your block set to 1 so they scale correctly. Click OK. And it looks like my text style is wrong, so we'll just match properties to what that one is. And there you go. Let's add a diameter symbol in here. So percent C will get us a diameter symbol. And again, we'll just match the properties of that text style and move on. Close this, save changes, and that looks really big. Let's see if we can fix that. Let's apply that again. And it's still really big. What's my text size? Set to 1. There we go. Set that down to 330 seconds and hit a refresh and shrinks it right back down. So now I have one grip that is going to move the level and the size at the same time. What we don't want to have to do is we don't want to come over and click level block and size block twice. That's just an extra click, and minimizing clicks is going to make us more productive, and we can just get on with modeling the more exciting things to do. So what's one other way that we can get that done? There's another way we can get it done, and that's by using Lisp. Some of you are going to be familiar with Lisp, some of you are not. Again, I'm going to go back to the help file, and in the help file, there's something called set text. What they've defined is a numerical value for each type of text. In this instance, I want to apply the size and the elevation. So 2 plus 4 would equal 6. And they've given us some really great examples of some Lisp. So let me bring over my Lisp. I want to call your attention to these Lisp functions here. All right. In this instance below, we have a selection set, and then I'm going to apply the variable of 6 to that selection set, and I'm going to turn it on. Okay. So my command, I've defined it as size 11. So let's type that in here. And I'm going to click on the pipe. And what I get, it's giving me this because I have applied that in the level block. So let's take the level block out of the service, just for this example. Okay. And let's try that again. There we go. All right. So the reason why we're getting the top of duct, bottom of duct is simply because I'm in the duct database. If I was in the pipe database, we'd be getting center line here. All right, but in this instance, we have two nodes that we need to move around, and we have two arrows that we can take advantage of. Really, the issue here is company standard. What your company standard is, and what's the best way to accomplish that standard. And sometimes we need to modify those standards just because of the amount of data and the amount of information that we have to put on these drawings. Everybody can come up with great ideas, but implementation is really the key to making those ideas not cost you extra hours of time. All right, so what we've talked about is level blocks, getting that information on there quicker, and also using Lisp to put that information in there equally as fast. There's one other thing I wanted to show you on the Lisp side. Let me pull that up. Is removing the text. So this is a feature that you're going to want to be careful of. It's called remove map text. And I've applied a variable of 127. And what that is that is all of these numerical values added together. I want to turn off the text. I don't want to just hide it. I want to turn it off. What happens is if we place this tag and I move it, that looks great. I can click on that button and it goes away, but if I click on it again, it comes right back in the exact same spot. Sometimes you can mess up. Oh, this is so annoying. Now I've got to come over here and I've got to click this button and I've got to click here, 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 and that takes a lot of time. And it's boring, and my boss is going to get mad at me because I took too long. What I can do is use that command, and these features do not ship with the configuration. I want to make sure you guys are aware of that. I've just put these in here for example of things that you can do, with the palette that comes with the configuration. What I've done is I've put that Lisp behind that button. Wrong one. I have put this command behind that button, reset map text, okay? I'm going to click on that and I can highlight all of that and boom, it's gone. And I can move on to more exciting things, okay? So that's a quick way of removing text, and you can put in any numerical value you want. You can do 32 plus 8 or 16 plus 4, you know, whatever you find yourself doing the most often, find a way to get that down to a click or maybe 2 clicks at the most. You'll find this to be very helpful. Let's move on to level block is mostly useful in pipe, and I want to move on to duct. So I have a sample drawing here. One of the big topics is, should I annotate in model space or should I annotate in paper space? one of the big problems for years for model space has been, you know, what if I change the scale? For the most part, we're only printing out a 1/4 inch scale, and everything is great. Every once in a while I need to put in a enlarged view, or I need to print this out in a specific one-time instance. The guy in the field really wants this, and he wants it at some ridiculously large enhanced view, right? So last year at AU, Kevin Allen did a presentation on annotating in paper space. You know, every once in a while, somebody that you know goes and does something that totally makes you question your sense of reality, and it blows your mind, and you know, you don't even know if there's a God anymore, or I don't know if I'm a Democrat or Republican. And that's kind of what Kevin did here. I would definitely suggest that you guys watch this. He's got some really good information, some excellent tips and tricks, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically regurgitate some of the information that he's given us here. I'm going to show you some Lisp that I've done to help accomplish this, okay? There's a few things that you have to do in order to make texting in your paper space a reality. One of the problems with texting in model space is that when you send this out to a Navis file, you get a whole cluttered mess of text, okay? And that text can collision with things that we don't really care about. So next, we're worried about, you know, what setting do I have in Navis to not bring in my text, or do I need to turn that layer off prior to sending it to Navis, or I can turn it off once it's in Navis. Well, we can take care of that by not even putting annotation in model space at all, okay? So one of the first things you have to do is to check your style, okay, your text styles. In the past, you would have, or some of you might have, a height here, okay? And the reason why is because some folks did not understand annotative scales, and this needs to be set to 0, all right? Now we have a separate text style for each type of text. So many of you might have just one type of text, and that's fine. There are some instances where having multiple styles you might find beneficial. You can change the width factor. You can make them all stand out in their own unique kind of way. So in the field, when they're looking at that, they automatically start to recognize, hey, this is a little bit more blown apart view. I know this is my tag, or I know that this one has a oblique angle to it. This one is my length. You can make those types of changes. So the next thing that you're going to want to check is in your database, take off CAD settings. You're going to want to go to the annotation tab. And what you'll notice here is that we have enabled the show in paper space only. And I also have model space size turned to 0 because I do not want to see text in my model. It just clutters it and I can't handle it. All right. Send it out, and my coordinator is bringing in how many different models into his Navis file, and every time he's got to clean that Navis file up. So let's keep it clean from the beginning and make everyone's life a lot easier. So once you're release this model, we're going to start moving into the annotation phase. Some of you may annotate while you're modeling. I would suggest to you focus on modeling, and when this model has been coordinated and it's ready to go, let's move back into the annotation phase and annotate after the fact. If we set our database to annotate as we draw, you will end up with an amazing amount of text, and it will be too much. The field guy will get it and his eyes will cross and you'll start crying. You don't want field guys to cry because it's sad. So what we have here is a viewport into the model space. All right. And I have set up some buttons for the different types of patterns. Some of you might want to annotate the diffusers. You'll want to annotate the radius of a fitting. You want to annotate throats. You might want to annotate offsets. You know, you might want to annotate the length of a tap. Every company has their different standards, has their different needs and requirements, and it all depends on who's running the shop and who's doing the installations. Okay, so the beauty of Fabrication is that they don't get you down to a certain workflow. You can make this workflow for your company and meet your own company needs, okay? So what I'm gonna do is these buttons here run off of what's called C-text. C-text stands for custom text. Custom text looks at the add reports that we've defined in the program. Add reports, we can have as many of these as we want. And we can put in any dimension list that we're looking for. The dimension list is coming from the fitting itself. What I have here is a dimension list. And in this case, I want to be able to report the throat. My throat size here is 6 by 6. Now my company standard might be 4 by 4. So anything outside of my standard, I want to make sure I annotate that. So when they go to fabricate or install, they know what they're looking for, okay? So let's go back to the add report and look at a few settings that we need to have prior to applying this information. All right, so first of all, we need to have our text style, and I've already showed you how we should have our text style set up. And next, we have a text height. Some of you may have 0 here. Some of you may have 4 or 3.5 or 2.5. All right. In this instance, since we are going to annotate in paper space, we want to have the size of the text that this text needs to be when I print it out. When I print this out on a piece of paper, I want this text to be 3/32. In your instance, it might be 1/4, it might be 1/16. You're going to want to put that number here, all right? And we're going to set it out in paper space only. I'll show you what is in this block. And I've defined a filter for this pattern, and I've defined what dimension I'm looking for in that pattern, okay? So let's look at this one. Let's look at what pattern this is. Many of you might use pattern 20. Some of you might use pattern, I believe it's 3. Yeah, 3, okay? I've done a 1 for both, depending on what your standard is. You might use both. But, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw some text onto this, all right? So what I've done is I've applied 2 forms of C-text. I've applied the C-text of one side throat and the other side of the throat, okay? So let's change this throat to 8. Okay, I'm just going to move that over 2 inches. All right, well, obviously I've got this wrong, but this is now annotative. I struggled with this for a while and didn't know that I could have 2 forms of C-text applied to a fitting. What we're doing here is we're applying C-text, and then we're applying what is called add C-text. All right, so let me pull up the script again. Let me find the one. All right, so here's the script for this throat. With this throat, I am going to, here I'm saving my variables, changing my variables. I'm selecting anything that's a map solid. I'm creating a filter for the CID pattern of 20, and I'm getting my selection set. And then I am going to apply the C-text of that report. And then I'm going to apply the add C-text for the other throat. All right, there's a couple ways you can do this. There's one other way, it's a macro. You may not be able to or need to go this far with it. You can use a macro. Scott has some really great macros he has. If you want to tag your diffusers, Scott has a macro in here for a filter, and then it's going to apply the C-text for diffuser tag. All right. That macro is going to select all the diffusers and put in a C-text. All right. So in this instance, I already have gone through and defined that there's information here. All right. So I'm not sure if this is a custom item property or not. No, it's not here. So one way we can make this quicker is by creating a script to run at the same time as the Lisp routine. All right. So I've created a Lisp routine. It's going to do all the exact same things. I'm creating a filter, but instead I'm going to throw in a script. And let's see what that script does. Okay. So my command is dt duct tag, and I'm just going to select these ones here. All right. So I'm going to set these back to, I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to delete this, and it's gone. All right. Let's go ahead and tag those one more time, and they'll come right back. But there's no information there. Typically, that's going to be the case when you're modeling or when you're annotating. There's not going to be any information in there unless you know the information ahead of time and you're able to apply it. That information is being pulled, wrong one. That information is being pulled from the custom information that we've predefined in the program for this fitting, okay? So if you'll notice the different viewports. This viewport is at a 1/4 inch, and this viewport is at a 1/2 inch, all right? Notice the size of my block. I don't have a ridiculously large block. I can zoom in, and let me hit refresh, and there my block shrunk down to the appropriate size. So when I print this out, I don't have ridiculously large text in my drawing. Now I can reset that back to a 1/2 inch, hit refresh, and it comes right back. One of the things that you're going to want to do, this is using a, let's look at that add report real quick for the diffuser tag. All right, this diffuser tag is set to that size, and it's going to be using this block. So let's go look at that block. You can make this block anything you want. You can make it round, you can make it, you know, you name it. As long as the size of your attribute is 1. Where's my properties palette here? It's hiding behind my, there we go. All right, so my height is 1. And this is just an attribute of 1. Nothing real fancy going on here. Pretty straightforward. And what happens is it's applying those attributes in the order that you have applied them. Let's do this. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to use the Batman command. and we're going to select on the diffuser. And these are in order. If you go to create this block, you may end up with something that looks like this. Oh, that's frustrating. My ad report is just right. In the ad report, it's going to apply that in the same order that you're calling for it, okay? So if that happens to you, you can reorganize your attributes inside the block in the correct form, and they'll come in correctly, okay? So let's look at that script that I am running at the same time as that Lisp is running. Again, this is not something that comes with the, this does not come with the applied packet, but what I want to show you are ways that you can enhance, increase your time, and make things go a little bit easier. What we have here are a couple of input boxes, and then I'm running a selection once, and then it's going to apply the input that I've given it to all those fittings. And in the Lisp, I believe I've already showed this to you, but let's pull it up one more time. After I run the filter, then I'm going to call that script to run. And when it's done running, it's going to go back to the Lisp. All right. So if you guys want to get screenshots, you can go ahead and get screenshots, or I believe this will be available online afterwards. If you're looking to do things like this to enhance your texting capabilities. All right, so let's go ahead and turn all this off. I'm going to click on this slick turn off all my text button, okay? And I'm going to run the diffuser. Something is going wrong. Let me go ahead and turn that off. Let's try it again. There we go. All right, so my diffuser tag, we're going to say this is, my tag is going to be room 101, and my CFM is 400. Hit OK, and there we go. You got to come around here probably and move these around. Make sure they're not collisioning with something else. If it comes up empty, that's a pretty good sign that we need to go back in and fill that information in. You can double click on it, fill it in like you typically would, or you can run that command and that script will input that information for you. All right, so what I have here also is, let's say we want to annotate our radius. Some of you might want to annotate your radius. Some of you might want to annotate, this is a square radius. Maybe you want to annotate your round radius. In this case, let's look at the pattern. This is a pattern 61. And I believe, here, let's look at this pattern. This is a pattern 523. The radius of these pattern, this radius is going to come from B, which would be number 2. And so is this radius, but they're two separate patterns. What we can do is we can combine those patterns into an ad report. (61) and 53. I'm going to filter by those patterns, and I'm going to call them at the same time. Okay, so I believe my short command for that was R4. And there we go. I got my radius. I can come back and move that around wherever I need to. I believe Scott had a move text command. We can run this and move it around anywhere we need it to be. All right. Pretty simple, straightforward, but what we also get is a clean model. What we want to be able to do is when we run the NWC out command, I want this to come across as clean as possible. Nothing cluttering it up. I don't want it to cost the coordinator any more time. I'm waiting for this to load here so I can show you. There we go. All I get is duct, hangers, actual model. I'm not getting anything that's not relative to coordination. All right, trying to think if there's something else I need to cover. Let's go ahead and see if anybody has any questions. Garrett, I don't know if you're able to speak out loud here, but does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, we've got quite a few questions, but these look really involved. Garrett, what do you think? You want to cover some of these answers?
I've got, can everybody hear me okay? I've got a few, I've responded as much as I could here, but yeah, they seem to be a little bit more complex than what we're used to seeing on the Hangouts here. Which, and that's not a problem at all. So David, I don't think you really have anything that's standing out right now. I've got emails and follow-ups. You did just have a question that is someone's looking for a block for diffusers, but that can be a follow-up.
So the block is just like any regular block. Draw it out in your CAD session and put just a few attributes in there, and those attributes are going to call from your ad report. You just put your attributes in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and whatever your ad report is looking for in that order, it's going to populate that that block. You know, once you do it, it'll make sense to you. But you know, conceptually, it might be hard to see how that works.
All right, we're gonna, and you've got the link posted in the chat window for Kevin Allen's presentation at AU. And I just want to note that, you know, Kevin has now set a new level of standard for all of us to aspire to, where we will make other people question our religious or political affiliations. I think that's the new standard.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I can now walk around telling people that I know Kevin Allen. That's all right.
Let me show you one more thing.
Okay.
So when we XREF this project into our sheet file, our text is going to come in at the right scale. I can change this to a half. Okay, and look at that, it just changed. This is an XREF. This isn't the actual model. This is my sheet file. I'm going to print from this file. From my project file, I'm just annotating. Okay, when I'm done annotating, I can delete these viewports and just have the model. I wouldn't delete the one you actually annotated in, because if for some reason you had to come back in and do some more annotating, you're going to want that viewport. But by default, you're getting all these other viewports. But this is an XREF. And look at that text. I can print that out and it's going to look perfect. So I guess we can shut this down, but you know, if there's any other questions, I can do another session later and cover those topics.
Sure. Yeah. And you know, for those of you who are have a support contract with us, if you need clarity on this, call us. We'll send you the blocks and so forth, save you some effort, or we can show you how to create your custom tags, whatever. And I have had a number of people tell me that Kevin's presentation at AU really was quite astounding. So do take a look at that. Why don't we give away some money? Does that work? All right, so here's the deal. I need for everybody who's still on the call who wants a chance to win $25 gift certificate, go to question pane, right, and type, "I'm still here." Oh, we have a few people still here. All right. So yesterday, we had an independent observer select a number, and that number correlates to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're moving so fast. Mr. Josh Ashey with NAMI has won the $25 gift certificate, and I believe that, like me, he knows Kevin Allen. So special day for all involved. I would like to thank everybody for attending today. Keep in mind that next month we will be showing the new features in Fabrication 2017, and we would like for you to keep in mind the BIM and Beer event in Chicago coming up in a few weeks. With that, thank you for coming and have a great week. Thanks.